Hello and welcome to our video on proportions and unit rate. I am Miss Armgart. Let's get into it. So we are going to talk proportions, which just means equal fractions. So we're trying to see if two fractions are equivalent, proportional to each other. So we are going to use these delicious gummy bears from Haribo, red to 5 yellow. So if we have 35 yellow in a bag, how many red will we get? About 5 times what equals 35? And it is times 7. We do the same to the red. So 4 times 7 is 28. We have 28 red gummies in that bag. The really cool thing we can do is we can check and make sure that we did our math right by looking at the cross of each of these. So we are going to do 4 times 35, that gives us 150. And we are also going to do 5 times 28, and that gives us 150. We have made equivalent proportional ratios, fractions. Now, the other super cool thing is that we can use this to figure out a missing amount. So if we have 135 of our yellow, how many red? Now, mathematicians often use N or another letter to represent a missing quantity. So we can do our cross. Once again, we know that 4 times 135 gives us 540, because we know 5 times n should equal 540. Now we can rewrite this in division because division and multiplication are opposites. So now this becomes 540 divided by 5. N becomes 108. Have 135 yellow. The bag should have 108 red. So this check method you can use to check your work. So how do we know if we've done this correctly? Well, you write them as if they are equal. So does 2/3 equal 8 over 15? 8/15? We don't know. Let's do the cross check. So 3 times 8 equals 24. And 2 times 15 equals 30. These numbers are not the same. This does not work. It is not an equivalent ratio. Those ratios are not proportional. All right, so now let's check 6 over 9/27. Again, the format is the same. We're going to cross 2 times 27 and 6 times 9 equal 54. So yes, this is an equivalent ratio. We can use this to find a unit rate. We're looking for one quantity of something. Usually, we're talking about prices, like unit prices on items. So right here, we have $36.75 for 3 burgers. We want to know how much does one burger cost? So whatever this denominator is down here, you are going to divide your numerator by that number. That will give us the price for one burger. So if we divide both of these by 3, one burger is $12.25. Will not change no matter how many burgers we buy. Now, notice we are not dividing by a common factor. We are dividing so that our denominator becomes 1 because we want the price for 1. So we have a cake recipe that calls for 6 cups of sugar for every 4 cups of flour. For every cup of flour, how much sugar is needed? So you'll see in this problem, here is the ratio as a visual. Here is the ratio written out with our colon. We could rewrite this. We're going to do our cross again. So we don't know what 4 times n equals, but we sure know 6 times 1 equals 6. So 4 times n has to equal 6. So n equals 6 divided by 4, or n equals 1 and 1/2 cups of sugar. What happens if we need 8.5 cups of flour? Or what happens if that's all we have is 8.5 cups of flour? We'll multiply each of them by 8.5. And we get our sugar is 12.75 cups. We've used both methods here to check and make sure that we know how to make our equivalent, our ratios, the same no matter which. So at the bottom of the notes, you'll see what's the difference between a ratio, a rate, and a unit rate. These are also the words at the bottom to fill in for examples. I am Miss Armgart. Happy solving.